Hey there, YouTubers. What I'm doing now is making a mold for some very big stepping stones. They're 22 inches in diameter, and it's pretty hard to find those on the market anywhere. And to ship them anywhere would cost you some money because they are pretty heavy. So what I did was I got a piece of 3/4 inch plywood, but you could use just about anything that you want. It could be MDF, oriented strand board, pretty much anything. The thickness should be at least 1/2 inch, I think, but that's up to you guys, whatever you want to use. And then figure out what you want to do for your mold. It has to be big enough too. This is 24 by 24, so you can see it just is big enough for a 22 inch diameter. Those things are right on the edge there. This is going to be 2 inches thick, so these are a little bit less than 2 inches. So when I screed the top of the mold, these will not interfere with it. And also you're going to want to make sure that this mold is sitting on a flat surface. You want to be level all the way around, because the concrete is going to be pretty wet to fill all the voids, and you don't want it flowing to one side or the other. You want it to stay centered exactly where you put it. So first thing you have to do is figure out the size, and then on the internet you can figure out the circumference, which will give you the inches of the mold piece that you want to use. This is that stuff that you can buy. It's plastic. Normally it's like 6 inches thick, I think. I just cut it down. First of all, I cut it to the right length, which is 69 inches for 22 inches diameter. And you can get that formula on the internet. Just put in the dimensions, the diameter, and get the circumference, and it'll tell you. And then to close this off, I just made up a piece like this and stapled it. And this is going to fit down in between on the inside of these little pieces. And then I got some round stock, cut it in half, glued it down and pin nailed it in 3 spots so that these will stay, because you don't want these coming up when you release the concrete. And I'm also going to paint this. I'm going to put 2 coats of primer on here, just to keep from messing the wood up, because it will kind of seep into the pores a little bit if you don't do that. And then the centerpiece here is just screwed into the center, and it's just a top, plastic top. And these things here, what I do is I nail them on both sides, and then if they're not sturdy enough, I'll go underneath once they're all set. And to get it pretty centered, just start with a center hole and measure out. For me, it would be 11 inches, which would give me 22 inch diameter all the way around. Make a mark, then attach these, and then put these strips or whatever stuff you want to put for your mold in there, and get it all level. Put this in there and mix your concrete up. Pour it in, screed it off, and let it dry, and let it set for at least a day. Also, I put some kind of like a wire mesh in here for strength, because I'm not actually using concrete. This is mortar. It's just sand and cement, and I use 3-to-1 ratio. 3 shovelfuls of sand to 1 shovelful of cement, and maybe a little bit extra sometimes to help make it stronger. So if you put in the wire mesh or whatever you're going to use in there, that should keep it pretty strong. Now, the next shot will be the actual product, releasing it and showing you what it looks like. Okay, this is all ready to go. The paint's dry. I'm going to spray my olive oil on there, or whatever spray, cooking spray or motor oil or whatever you want to use on there, just as a releasing agent. Also, here's the stuff that I'm going to be putting inside. Just that much will be enough. And I'll pour it half full without this, and then I'll put this down on top of the first part, and then pour the rest on top of here, and then screed it over. So this is what I use here, but you can use anything. Just spray it around like that, and I let it sit there till I've got my cement mortar mix already mixed up, and then I wipe it down with one of these. And also I use this color here, cement color Quikrete. I use a quarter cup of this. Turns out to be a pretty dark brown. You could use more. Sometimes I've used half a cup, but you could just have a regular concrete, whatever you want. Doesn't matter. Your preference. Here's what I got now. This is about halfway full. I'll take my wire mesh, stick it inside, push it down into it, and I'll cover it up the rest of the way and screed it off. This is about the consistency that I have here. Just like, pretty much like regular mortar. I like it fairly runny so that you won't get as many voids inside here. Also, after I get this done, I'm going to take a rubber hammer, mallet. I'm going to tap it underneath, and also a vibrator. I just use a little palm sander. It helps get all the little air bubbles out of here. So it's not a big deal on a stepping stone because, you know, it's not really finished concrete. If it has a little bit of air bubbles or divots in it, it's going to look fine. So whatever you want to do, it's going to work out pretty good. And that's pretty much it. I'll show you the part where I take it out of the mold. I forgot to mention how much sand and cement I used. I used 5 shovelfuls of sand, and they were good sized shovelfuls, and then 2 of the cement, and about a little over a gallon of water to give you this consistency. And then you mix the color with that if you're going to use the color. Mix it with the water first. So that's all I got right now. Here's the final product. About 20 hours later, the next day, came out pretty good. It released from the mold very easily. I just flipped it over so that this was on its face, and then pulled the mold right off of it. But first I took the side piece here and pried it up with a screwdriver all the way around, and slowly pulled that off. That came off really easily too. And then I flipped it over and then just pulled the mold off, and it's still in good condition. Here it is. This is just brown color here, so everything looks good. So I just got a screwdriver under here and popped it up like this all the way around, and then eventually this just pulled right off. So that's what you got. If you're interested in doing this, it's not too tough.